Welcome back to the Dynasty Den weekly preview show. Matt Porter here with Evan Blyler. Happy Rashi Rice Day to all who celebrate, or really Rashi Rice Week. I don't know why I said day. But Evan, got a good week out of us, some good matchups here. We're getting after it, traveling, got that nice hotel background, but we would not miss this for the fans. And good news. So last week, I think we mentioned, or I mentioned it to you at least, I'm starting to put like my weekly touchdown guarantee player.
Ooh, the mortal locks.
And we're 2 in a row. So I think we'll get the hat trick because, last week we had Ashton Genty on the thumbnail for the week 6 show. He scored 2 weeks ago. Lab McConkey, he scored. And we didn't think about it before then. So forget the rest. But this week, Mr. Rice himself will be on the cover. He's going to have a huge game in his welcome back. That's what Andy Reid is saying. So I'm just ready for it. I have a 1-5 team that has him coming back, and I'm just so ready to change my fate. How are we doing, Evan? How are your squads looking heading into week 7 here?
I'm doing a lot better now that Rashi's playing, or will be playing. Yeah, I mean, it's been like kind of an insane first few weeks. At least like trying to plan a strategy. Like I've got 2 teams where I held on to them. Got a few trade requests, maybe a week 2 or 3. People trying to snipe him off me in the early moments. But no, really excited for him. I think hopefully we'll see a lot of output out of him. Mahomes has looked phenomenal, kind of a 180 from the previous season. And I think like with that, if he can make, Worthy and Hollywood Brown and, all of these pretty realistically good wide receivers, look like one of the best wide receivers in the league, I think Rasheed is easily going to finish top 10 to top 5, if not.
Yeah. And I don't know who else you would have been relying on in that offense, but I'm definitely curious to see how it shakes things up. But before we get to that game, we're going to start with the thrilling game tonight, the battle of the elderly QBs. Primetime fashion Thursday night. We got Steelers, Bengals, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco. What year is it? I may have cursed us a little bit last week, Evan, because if you remember at the very beginning, I was like, we can't get the Thursday prediction wrong because if people are listening to this on Friday, they're going to stop listening. And I could not have been more wrong, so I'll take accountability there. I was like, everyone will eat except for Dallas Goedert. And I think if I just didn't say that, it would have happened. But because I said it, I think Philly, OC listens to this and was like, we're going to continue centering this offense around Dallas Goedert. But we're new week, fresh start here. What's going to happen? Steelers at Bengals.
Yeah, I think people might be a little bit surprised, at least by this. I feel like the Steelers have consistently they've done pretty well. Not any really surprises. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is just very stoic in the way that he plays. I think that he's kind of done a decent job of having DK Metcalf exceed expectations for this year. And I'm excited to see this because, a very disheveled Bengals defense. So, yeah, and on the flip side too, the Steelers as well, the defense, not what we would have made out to be, at least in these first 6 weeks. But I think you're going to see a good deal out of both teams. 40-year-old Joe Flacco and a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I never would have expected to see this kind of a game. Especially with Joe Flacco coming to a beat-up Cincinnati team. But I think you're going to see a lot. I'm really excited for Jalen Warren tonight. I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I'm excited to see T. Higgins and if he can break out again. And I like the tight end matchups too. I think Noah Fant's going to do really well. And Jonnu Smith. So we'll just see how this plays out.
I love it. Yeah, no, I think Flacco to me showed that he can get these receivers there. So I feel optimistic. I think Chase kind of still has the same profile he did with Browning. It's just he's the go-to guy, so he'll get his. But where I think Joe Flacco really is going to help boost this offense is getting T. Higgins involved as well. I definitely need that to come to fruition. But the Steelers secondary really has not been that fantastic. I mean, they haven't really been challenged all that much. The only really 2 notable receivers that they've gone up against was Justin Jefferson in the international game, and he just absolutely torched them as he tends to do. And then JSN as well. they had a really hard time stopping. And neither of those guys scored against them, so they didn't have those nuclear fantasy performances. But I think both Chase and Higgins could very much eat in this offense. I need it to be a T. Higgins game. I'm not going to say that's what I'm predicting, but that's what I need. That's what I need.
Yeah, I think it works in his favor. I certainly think like the run is not on. I think I wanted to say I was looking at the stat lines, and I did see that like Chase Brown has had a pretty considerable reduction, at least in like his touches and like the snaps that he's handled. So I'm interested in like how that trends and if he can maybe get a breakout a little bit just to kind of put him in a better trajectory for the oncoming rest of the season. But yeah, we're surely going to see.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the game where we'll get the Chase Brown breakup against this defensive line. We'll see though. All right, Rams, Jaguars, scary news with Puka Nacua last week. I'm sure if you had him and were watching any of that game, it was a little bit of panic. Seems to have avoided something major, but I'm going to miss some time here. Yeah, I actually, so I love what Sean McVay will do with receivers. He's great at getting the manufactured touches here. And Devontae is good enough in his own right to still like stretch the field where I don't think he's going to get manufactured touches in the middle the way they did with Puka. So I think he'll kind of keep his role. So then the question becomes is what other piece of this offense do we like? Is Kyren going to be involved more in the passing game? Is Tutu Atwell going to be an elevated role? Or is second-year player Jordan Whittington, who they've been using a lot in this slot, is he going to kind of benefit here too? So he's someone that I sneakily think could have a fun role while Puka is out. But I really just love the ceiling here for Devontae in this matchup, even against an improved Jags D.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the general consensus, at least across the board for this game. Like your must starts are Kyren, Travis Etienne, Devontae Adams for sure, and then a big surpriser for me, at least in this previous week with BTJ. I was looking at a stat, and it was his BTJ's catch rate from Trevor Lawrence was originally a 28% catch rate, and then within this between weeks 1 through 3. And then it slowly evolved into a 74% catch rate on weeks 4 through 6. So I thought that breakout game was so overdue for BTJ. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing like how he can kind of develop and continue to like build that connection with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. And I mean, it could have been bigger too, because he had a 40-something yard touchdown called back thanks to our boy Travis Hunter holding on the opposite side of the field.
Insane.
Because where do you attribute this to? Would you say you feel like BTJ is playing better? The offense is just gelling more and the chemistry is building with Trevor, or is Trevor playing better? Like kind of where would you attribute last week's success to? And do you think it's sustainable moving forward? Is he just fully back, or was this a big game and now you should sell because you're not sold on what you've seen from BTJ this season?
Yeah, I mean, don't quote me on it. I think it's a mix. I know BTJ at least was dealing with a lot of off-field issues. I wouldn't even say a lot, but at least one.
It seemed like so. Yeah.
And I think that really took a toll to him, at least in those first few weeks, and just him getting in the right headspace. Trevor Lawrence, I thought he improved a lot. I think I'm seeing a lot more out of him of what I would have expected when he was initially drafted, and that expectation they would have for like the whole franchise. But no, I think you'll probably see, and again, don't quote me. I'm predicting at least like a subtle drop off, but I think it will be sustainable in the long run, just maybe not at the same level that we've seen. But if BTJ can continue to develop and really build that with Trevor Lawrence, I don't see any reason for why we would expect anything less out of BTJ going on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I just think this Jags team can be so good once they get it all together. Like we've now seen flashes from, okay, if you use Travis Hunter downfield, you can get big plays. If you heavily target BTJ, he can be what he was last year. So Trevor's running the ball more, Lawrence, and not the other Etienne brother, but who I always mix up the names. I think the ceiling here still hasn't even really hit. I was a big Travis Hunter guy entering the season, and I think he could still have a lot of value towards the end of the season. But I think right now I'm comfortably benching him in like really every format. I have a dynasty league where we can start up to 5 receivers, and actually I have him on my bench in that league. So just not really there yet. So he'll go off this week. So.
As soon as you throw him on,
yeah,
he feels the chill of the bench, and he just knows. No, but and then one last note, as a guy who doesn't own Puka in any leagues and wasn't able to get him, if you are a Puka owner, I need you to ignore all injury reports, panic detrimentally, and trade him. Just get rid of him. You don't need him anymore.
Just go Photoshop some fake like Schefter posts like out for season. Put that in your league chat.
Spreading misinformation, just photoshopping tweets.
What's the purpose of misinformation? Is to benefit yourself. All right, Eagles, Vikings. Eagles just really a disaster last week, just embarrassing themselves against the Giants. And Vikings here coming off of a bye. So this might be another Eagles downfall type of week. Hate to say it to an Eagles fan, but I just think Kevin O'Connell, coming off of a bye is going to have a pretty good game plan for this Eagles defense that's just dejected. Like defense isn't playing, or they were playing really well up until last week. But from a fantasy standpoint, like they're not anything to be scared of for any of your offensive players, really just in the run game and the passing game. And then offensively, like we're getting just weird vibes there with player only meeting types of almost like what's happening with the Dolphins where, AJ Brown's like, oh no, there haven't been any meetings. And then there's trade rumors as well here. So we'll see if A.J. Brown wants to be there, if he wants to go play with the best quarterback in the league in New England.
Crazy. No, yeah. I mean, it's that same feeling from last week. Like literally that last week's session that we did, I had this gut feeling. I did not feel good about the Eagles going into that Giants game. And I'm kind of in a similar boat right here. I mean, I didn't really see anything that overwhelmingly great out of the Eagles in this previous game. I thought we lost control against, I would say, a really poised rookie QB that, you don't normally see, especially after not really getting that many touches in those, first 5 weeks. So props off to Jackson Dart. We'll get into him when, we cover the Giants game. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like, I'm not big on starting A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, at least we're talking fantasy. I think it's really not the best matchup.
This is a brutal matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. For Barkley,
it's hard to bench those guys.
I know it really is. I think Barkley, it's going to be tough for him as well. I think he'll have a good game. You can always expect something well out of Saquon. I think this previous game was kind of a flop, but he's Saquon. I'm excited to see Jordan Mason. I think he's kind of primed to have a pretty good game. And I hate saying that as an Eagles fan. Dallas Goedert, I think what was it? It was like, I want to say he's got a career high, of 5 touchdowns, at least in these first 6 weeks.
And he's like 100% conversion rate on his red zone target still. It's ridiculous. He's the best of this group right now. I feel comfortable starting Goedert.
Yeah, he's a must start, especially for a Vikings defense that's given up I think it's the 8th most catches, and I think three touchdowns against tight ends. And
this offense runs through him. Like in the red zone, they're not using Saquon. They're not going to tush push unless it's 4 times in a row. They're just doing this shovel pass to Dallas Goedert that seems to be unstoppable, and it's interesting.
And I think with that being really the only true outlet that we've had, at least these last few games, I think you're almost like primed to see a little bit of regression. I don't know if it's like fully sustainable for how well he's doing, but still an absolute menace on the field. Like I'm really excited for him, at least seeing like a veteran player on the team.
Yeah. On the Viking side, I mean, we haven't really been starting anyone outside of Jefferson and Mason anyway. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see what happens with QB. I think as far as I know, McCarthy still probably isn't going to return here. Although I guess there could be a chance of that. So yeah, just kind of excited to keep monitoring this offense. I think Jordan Addison, good flex now that he's back. But I kind of expect the Vikings to control this one. I really do. I don't know. I'm just starting to learn. I've been like such a buy low, like bounce back believer so much for like the last year, and it's just starting to feel like a bad bet. It's like when you can see these teams that are just on a downhill trend, instead of being like, oh, that's a good time to think they'll bounce back. It's like, nope, just believe they're going to keep sinking. And that's kind of how I feel with the Eagles right now, which is sad because we need them for fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah, especially people that spent the draft capital. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're disappointed by pretty much every single Eagle outside of Goddard, like Saquon underperforming, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Yeah, even like Jalen Hurts. Like, it's weird. It's just weird. Just weird.
Yeah.
All right.
Weird vibes.
Patriots at Titans. This should be a fun one. What a day for Drake May last week. Just, oh my gosh, so fun to watch. I think I'm just a Pats fan now. Firing up that jersey order for Drake May. Upgrade from the t-shirt I have to get a real jersey there. Titans will have a new head coach here. They fired Brian Callahan earlier this week. Probably for the better. I don't know. We will see who the problem was. I mean, this kind of has blowout written all over it. Although a lot of times when interim head coaches come in, the team just, I don't know how to explain it. Like what we're talking about with the vibes, they just are so happy that the problem is gone and they play really well. Like what I can think of for this is when the Raiders like blew out the Chargers. It was like 63-10 or something. When the Raiders fired their coach and hired Antonio Pierce as the interim. They just had this like out of nowhere, just completely blew the doors off the Chargers. So I don't know if this team has enough talent on both sides of the ball to kind of have that type of performance. But it just could definitely be closer than we think. But I mean, I expect Drake May to just continue this hot streak and just torch this Titans defense.
Yeah, he's looked good. I couldn't have asked anything more out of him, honestly. But yeah, this will be interesting. I mean, looking off of like an absolutely crazy Patriots defense, like they've literally allowed what I think it's like 3.1 yards, I think per what was my stat here? 3.1 yards per carry, which is the second lowest in the league for RBs. Yeah, like insane. So I wouldn't really expect too much out of Tony Pollard.
On the bench, my friend.
Yep. Yeah, he's sink him to the absolute depths. No, but I think on the flip side, I think the Patriots RBs look great, looking a little primed at least for this coming game against the Titans. I'm excited to see a little bit more, especially with Ramondre not fumbling the ball in this previous game. But hopefully we can get more to Travion. I think he's so due. He's so due. I know,
we're gonna be saying that for another 10 weeks.
Yep. We're like schizophrenic sitting in a room.
Consolation bracket MVP. That's what we're like. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I'm still just frustrated by the running back usage. The thing is, again, this is exactly what we talked about last week. Travion looks a lot better, but he's still not looking good. So he's not like playing in a way where the coaches are probably thinking, oh, we have to play this guy. But he's just so much more efficient than Ramondre in every metric. So I get that like he's still kind of struggling, but you're trying to make the best roster you have. I can't continue to justify it. I think this is the week I'm like finally bench. I have some leagues where I've like had to start Travion, and I think I'm moving him to the bench. So, this will be the breakout week.
Mm-hmm. It's due.
No, I'll stop being salty. It's not helpful for anyone, but like, I don't know. Travion just looks better. Like he had that, the catch that he had on it was really a Drake May highlight of just kind of like getting the ball out of there. Travion had some good yards after the catch. I was eyeing on the snaps that I watch. I was really eyeing his pass protection since it seems like that's the reason he's not getting on the field. And he had a pretty like decent pickup on the long touchdown to Demario Douglas. That helped buy Drake May some time on the left side and was able to step up into the pocket and deliver that throw. So it's like he did get kind of beat, but he like made enough of an effort to let the play happen. So it's just, I guess I kind of see what the coaches are probably seeing, but it's still just, it's better than what you're getting from Ramondre. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. Like he just needs to get the ball more.
Yeah. And we'll definitely see if
more of his opportunities too. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see a little more out of Cam Ward too. Like I think this will he's going to be forced to throw the ball. So I think you could see a pretty respectful game out of like Ridley and then Okonkwo as well.
Yeah, I mean, kind of good luck though too with Gonzo, and it's gonna will be tough here. What about for the Patriots receiving core? Do you have any? Can you make any sense of what's happening? We had like 2 really big Diggs games, and now it was a lot more spread out. Demario Douglas, who I thought was kind of left for dead in the offense, has a big game, most of it coming from one play, but he had another like long touchdown called back too. So like he could have had a monster day as well. And then Kayshon Boutte, 3rd-year breakout. Like I think we talked about him in the week 1 episode of like a sneaky year 3 breakout candidate, and he kind of puts it together and has a really big game. And I don't know, I think Drake May is just the type of quarterback that's going to spread the ball, almost like what Mahomes gets praised for. I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone that's really going to be reliable on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, it'll be tough. I mean, the Titans' defense isn't. I would say they're very average, middle of the pack. I think like it fully relies on how well Drake May plays. Me personally, I wouldn't feel that confident, at least with like, Diggs and Kayshon. I'm not 100% sold on it. I think you'll see that fluctuation from week to week, but yeah, it really depends just how well Drake May can play. Like he is that guy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Panthers at Jets. Panthers looking pretty good. They get an upset over Dallas. This offense is just going crazy, especially their run game. Rico Dowdle just with a second explosion week. I mean, I think we should be getting Chuba back this week, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. I think consensus is that it's going to just have to be a 50-50 split, which is you're disappointed if you're a Hubbard owner or if you're a Rico owner. You're now only getting half a workload to work with here. But I mean, they're still they're running so efficiently. And this is one where they probably will have a lead. So both running backs might be able to get there. And Jets side, I just don't know what we just watched from Justin Fields, 40 yards of passing, just absolutely brutal day. And that kind of seems to be what the Jets are. And starting to be weird vibes there as well. Aaron Glenn saying, being asked if Fields was still the starter and him responding as if that were a ridiculous question, as if his quarterback didn't just throw for less than 50 yards. I don't know. Garrett Wilson injury, going to miss a couple weeks here. So it's really just going to be Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end, probably leading the charge here in targets and hoping they can get things going with Breece Hall. But gross offense, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, honestly, this is going to be a confusing game because I feel like Justin Fields has been so unreliable where he either pops off and has an amazing game or it's absolute dog water. You're
either getting less than 5 points or greater than 25 points.
Yeah, you can't even really make sense of it. But yeah, I don't know. I want to see him do well. I really do, especially with the value that he had on those late draft boards that you could take him for, and at least the general consensus for how people felt in the beginning of the year. But yeah, hoping for a big game out of him. I think you're going to see a lot out of Breece Hall, especially with Garrett Wilson being out. He's going to get a lot of touches and a lot more, at least, than these last few games. Yeah, Rico Dowdle, he's definitely earned his RB1 status for the Panthers. I think that he's going to stay that way until it falls off, but it's definitely going to be a committee. I think Hubbard's going to have some limited touches in this first game coming back just because of that reliability that they have with Dowdle in these last 2 games. But I think we'll start to see that trend in a different way if Dowdle can be suppressed by this Jets D.
Well, we called it last week saying that Teteroa McMillan would get his first career touchdown. Threw that one out there, and he didn't just get 1, he got 2, but then also had his worst usage of the season. So I think he had 17 fantasy points, so 12 of that off of the touchdowns. And we are getting Jalen Coker back this week, who I do think lifts the offense. I said that last week, but he did not end up getting activated. I think he's a good stash and should definitely be owned in your leagues. All right, Dolphins, Browns. Is this it? Is this the final Mike McDaniel game when the Browns beat the Dolphins?
Ugh, I couldn't even tell you. The vibes are so bad. They're so atrocious. You're telling me you're a team that plays down in sunshine year round, good weather, And that's just how bad the team is. I just don't feel confident. Like the only person that I would ever feel confident starting is just honestly Devon Achane. And even
he's going to get traded apparently to Seattle, so that's the big rumor, which makes so much sense. That's the big rumor that if he's available, that they're going to make a move, hopefully, including Tariq Woolen and some additional assets. Because, it's not like they don't have two good running backs already.
Yeah, anyway, right.
I'll focus on the Dolphins, but
what do we know?
I don't. Tua saying that players are skipping meetings publicly and then apologizing, say, I probably shouldn't say that. Like, dude, it's bad.
It's the CTE talking. I think he's not a confident start for me this week. I would rather – this is going to be insane. I'd rather start Dylan Gabriel over Tua if I'm really going to get down to it.
Oh, this Dolphins defense is terrible. This is like you win your week if you have players going against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think Judkins is going to absolutely go off. I'm looking forward to it. I think Judy – I think he's kind of primed to have a good game. I think
they just got torched by Kamani Vidal. Ladd had his game of the season. This Dolphin, you have to attack this Dolphins defense. But then it's funny because then the Browns aren't the guys you want to start. So it's like, okay.
No, yeah. Especially on a week-to-week basis. But I guess to look at the positives for the Dolphins, the only person I could realistically see kind of having a manageable game is probably Darren Waller. Outside of that.
Are you out on Jalen Waddle then? Is that
it's tough. I mean, I think with the coverage that he gets, it can make it really tough. I want to say I'm not sold on it. I think it's hard. I wouldn't even argue if it's like a buy low. I just think the vibes are so bad that, like, at least at this point in the season, if they can't really figure it out and turn something around, I'm not buying.
A tough defensive matchup here too. Yeah, I think we're going to have so much clarity after this game just because if the Dolphins win I don't think they're not going to blow out the Browns. But I could see the Browns winning by a lot, which would be crazy. I think that would kind of just end this era.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a Judy game. I'm really convinced. Right. Like he's got coverage by Rasul Douglas, and Rasul Douglas has allowed what I think was 20.2 fantasy points by Garrett Wilson, and even Tet snuck some points. I think he had 10.2. So it's like,
Yeah. All right. I love that. I love you calling that shot. Okay. Saints Bears. Bears get revenge against the Commanders on Monday night. And now they get to host the Saints, who, like we've kind of been saying, despite having minimal wins, they're kind of keeping it close with a lot of teams. And they're showing competence for the pieces that they have. So it doesn't seem like Kamara is going to be on the move after some initial trade rumors. It sounds like they talked to him and he wants to stay. He is a lifer. So we're going to continue to get kind of like a split backfield here, it seems, between Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara. And then Chris Olave just continuing to dominate from a target standpoint, leads the NFL in targets. Yet he hasn't had a week better than a wide receiver 2 finish. He has not put up a top 12 week yet. So it's really interesting with what you're getting there, but you're getting a really stable wide receiver 2. And then the Bears, really interesting target share this past week is actually Luther Burden, who led the team in receptions. And Roma Dunze had a dud of a game. We again, we'll give us some credit here. We talked about the rookies being more involved after the bye. And that was a little bit confirmed here, but this also just seems like a team that's going to spread it out. I mean, Zacchaeus involved. DeAndre Swift getting it done in the passing game. So what do we make of this matchup?
I don't know. I mean, at least from like a Bears perspective, like Caleb Williams, he's way outperformed my expectations. I thought he's done a really good job, at least, of making his players kind of succeed. Like between, Dunze, DJ Moore, Zacchaeus, he's been able to kind of get the best out of all of them. We'll see. I think we're going to see a Bears win in this. I think the Saints have been consistent, but not necessarily like the standouts that you would really want, and to have that confidence to go in and think that they're really going to get any more out of it besides maybe Alvin Kamara having a lot of great touches. And just like shaky across the board for like wide receiver core. I want to see a little bit more out of, Olave. His shares are there. Like there's no doubt about that. Just more about getting like that value and feeling more confident and like starting him from week to week. We've seen like that classic Juwan Johnson regression with how explosive he was in those first few weeks. But I think it was expected. I didn't really see that being sustainable, at least for the long term.
We'll have to revisit this one because I think I'm going to take the Saints in this one. We'll be split.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Give Rattler and the
You've been a big Rattler guy.
Yeah. Well, I think the Bears just played their Super Bowl, honestly. I think they had a lot of emotion.
Insane game.
I think they had a lot of emotion in that Monday night game, short week. I don't know. I think they're going to take the Saints for granted. I mean, I think Ben Johnson will probably have them prepped, but I don't know. This feels like one the Saints could win. So I'll leave it at that. Raiders at Chiefs here, divisional matchup. We mentioned at the top of the show, but Chiefs, of course, get their star receiver back, who they really need. They really just need someone reliable. And honestly, I think Rice returning just demotes everyone. If you were starting Thornton or Hollywood Brown, like just drop them.
Toast.
The quotes coming out of Chiefs camp are crazy. It's just like, are you going to ramp him up? No, like he's just getting full volume immediately. I think it hurts Kelsey as well because Kelsey's been playing actually pretty well, and he does most of his work in the middle of the field, and that's where Rice will kind of dominate here. So interested to see how those two coexist, just because Kelsey is playing better than I thought he would. He's much better than he was last season, just on tape. And Raiders, no Brock Bowers. I'm hoping they have a bye after this week, so I'm hoping that he comes back in week 9. Jacoby Myers, another heavily rumored trade target for a lot of teams. Geno just still playing terrible football. And really the bright spot now is Ashton Genty. It's kind of nice seeing these things collapse around this Raiders team and watching him still be able to produce just because things can only get better for him. Like he's playing on a terrible offense with a terrible offensive line and is still getting it done. So just his long-term outlook is just awesome. And people who drafted him at their rookie 101s have got to be happy with what they're seeing.
Yeah, he's certainly breaking out. I'm excited to see him in these next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, Michael Mayer did kind of have a very solid tight end replacement week. So I think you can stream him again this week if you need a tight end.
Yeah, I think that certainly makes sense. I like him. I like Jacoby Myers at least this week. It'll be tough. Without a doubt, it'll be tough. I think they're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to go through Ashton Genty a lot more than previous weeks. And I think you could see a really great game out of him. Super excited about Rashee. I don't know how anyone could be, sell him short by any means from a guy that literally was not injured any of these weeks, literally just on a suspension, like practicing these last few weeks and getting those touches. Like he's going to have a massive, massive workload. I said it earlier. I'm calling it. I think it's going to be a top 10 to a top 5 finish for him. Especially seeing him last year. I mean, that's just an opinion. Maybe that's a hot take, but I certainly like the output, especially with how well Mahomes has been playing.
Yeah, these 1 in 5 teams I have that have Rice going to be generational playoff runs here.
Digging yourself out of a grave.
Absolutely. Hey, I think I'm only in 2 leagues now where. So like, what's that? A third of my leagues are now number 1 in points allowed instead of 50%. So, we're making progress. We're getting some tough dubs. Survived. I need to make that. Was that Facebook meme of like, I marked safe from Bijan Robinson? Yeah. Like put that up. Yeah. Got lots to be happy about. Like the Colts and the Chargers. Okay. Maybe not a hot take, but I think this is going to be like the fantasy shootout of the week. Like, I think this is going to be such a high scoring game. Both of these defenses are decimated and they're both competent offenses right now with a lot of good pieces. So I think there's a ton of startable players in these games. We were a little bit wrong, as was consensus. Maybe I wish we went against the grain a little bit. Wasn't super thrilled about either of the Chargers running backs without Hampton. And that was also like the news at the time when we recorded last week was that Hampton, definitely going to just be 4 weeks. And now it's okay. It's definitely gonna be more than 4 weeks. So you kind of maybe missed the window there. And Kamani Vidal looked really good. Granted, it was against the Dolphins, but he's an RB2 again this week for sure. So we kind of missed there. And yeah, Colts, are looking good here. If it's a shootout, that's good for Josh Downs, who finally had his best game of the season. Tyler Warren just continuing to dominate. You're starting him, of course. Daniel Jones should be good in this one. Herbert should be of course, Taylor. Michael Pittman probably scores in this game. I don't know. You could make a case for a lot of these players.
Yeah, I love it. This is going to be a fun game to watch. Between Daniel Jones and Justin Herbert, I think they're both going to do great. I think.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know, right? Insane.
We're so excited for the Daniel Jones shootout with Herbert.
You wouldn't have caught me dead saying that at the beginning of the year before game one. There's no shot. Insane. But no, I'm looking forward to the wide receiver core for the Chargers. I think it's going to be a fun game. You're going to see a lot out of Quentin Johnston, your Ladd McConkey, your Keenan Allen. I think that confidently, I think all of them are a great start, especially like a flex option if, you can expend that. Jonathan Taylor, an easy hit. Insane year so far, and I only see it getting better. Kamani Vidal, he's I don't know if we're going to see as good of a game as we've seen in this last week. I'm not as confident, at least for this week, but I kind of want him to prove me wrong. I really do. I don't know why I have that subtle feeling, but we'll see. I don't know. It was a great explosive game.
Yeah, he's a pretty good pass catcher, so that's why I definitely would lean towards him again in this one, if it's the shootout narrative. But because we're hyping it up this much, it's going to be a 6-3 defensive battle. But okay, we may have gotten the Chargers stuff right, other than Vidal. I feel confident that Ladd is the number one moving. I just do. Herbert's finally trusting him again. Keenan Allen, after the hot start, has not really been phased out of the offense, but it's just he's less of a priority. So I hope you kind of sold high there if you have the chance. And then, we'll see what happens with QJ. But again, I think it's just some of the turnovers that have been caused by QJ the last couple of weeks. I don't know. I think Ladd's just number one. And what a beautiful play by him this past week to seal the game. That was this week, right? Where he had the catch for 40 yards and all after the catch, juked the dude, got out of bounds. Or was that 2 weeks ago? Could be delusional here on the different time zone. But anyway,
no, you're good. You're dating me on that one.
And then, I got to give a shout out to my guy that I've been talking about all offseason, and Oronde Gadsden. Moved a future second round pick to get him in my dynasty league. Got roasted by my league, but he went off finally. Had a pretty strong game here too. So I don't know. I just like all of these pieces for the Chargers, and I hope we get the shootout.
He's got a good matchup for this week, so I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
6-3 final score confirmed.
Ooh.
All right, Giants Broncos. Let's talk about our guy. Not our guy, but the guy that ruined your week last week in Jackson Dart. Tough game here against the Broncos, as we know they just held Justin Fields to 43 passing yards. But Jackson Dart has this nice rushing floor that he has shown us time and time again. Just really just getting it done with his legs from a fantasy standpoint. This is it's a gross matchup. I had a friend text me. He's Josh Allen. He's new to fantasy football. So he's hit with his first bye week. And was just really curious. He was like, what do I do? And first I told him to drop Brian Robinson, and he tried to drop Bijan Robinson. Thank God. He's like, it's locked. It won't let me do that. I'm like, no, that's good. It's locked. So you can't drop him. Drop the other B Robinson. And he asked me, because the best available on the waivers was Aaron Rodgers or Jackson Dart. And those were kind of I said Rodgers. I don't know. So that's where I'm at with Jackson Dart this week, if that makes sense. That was a long way to get to my point, but I love the rushing upside. I'm not sold this week. I don't think he can just get a rushing touchdown every game and save his fantasy day. I don't know. Take a safer floor with some of the people who should get it done via the air. But
it's almost like Jackson Dart. He excels in the chaos of unplanned plays. At least for last week, I felt like he scrambled a good amount of time where it kept our defense on for from an Eagles standpoint. It kept us on our heels the entire time. We didn't really have a clear cut, game plan to try and prevent that. I thought Scotabo looked great.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm intrigued to see how he does against a really tough Broncos D. So I think either Jackson Dart's going to step up and he's going to make those unplanned plays and scatter and kind of advance the ball and get them downfield for opportunities for like Scatterbo to get touches in the red zone. And I just don't really expect too much, at least out of like their receiver core. I don't really personally, you can hold me to it. I don't necessarily see how they go above and beyond this week. Like, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think you're going to see a lot out of the Broncos. Like, I'm kind of high on Sutton this week. I think we're going to see a great game out of him. So I think like your must starts are probably Sutton. I feel pretty confident with Dobbins this week. And then, I feel like Scott always gets his touches. So he'll be a good option at flex.
Yeah, no, I think like the fact, I think there are a lot of leagues where Dart is still on waivers. Like, definitely go pick him up. But this just isn't the one where I think you're going to be too thrilled here. I just think the Broncos, no offense to your Eagles, I think the Broncos will just be smart enough to know they need to scheme for Dart's legs. Yeah. Especially with the secondary, like no one on the Giants is going to be open. Maybe Theo Johnson over the middle as a tight end.
I mean, they did against the Eagles. So I think it's very clear-cut copy-paste.
Yeah. And I don't think Surtain's going to like move around. There's no one that demands his attention, so he'll probably just play on the outside. I think it's going to be a bad game for the Giants from all levels, but they're fun, man. Like, talk about
they're so fun to watch.
they got the positive vibes.
Vibes are insane. You're watching Dart and Scatterbo give each other CTE with every single handshake they do. Like, it's great.
Those two are crazy. All right. Packers at Cardinals. Okay, I got to talk about the Packers defense because what did we watch the first 2 weeks of the season? Like they looked like Super Bowl contenders, like best defense in the league, and they've just been straight out bad, like in every other game here. Cardinals. Okay, this was what I said was my most exciting storyline last week, and I jinxed it because I was like, okay, Marvin's going to be good because they're going to have Brissett. They're going to use him over the middle. I just felt the brief victory lap as he hit a huge horizontal route for the 32-yard gain that then resulted in his concussion. So I think he was on pace for a big day. And of course, Trey McBride scores now that Kyler was out of the picture. But I think we may get Brissett again here. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll certainly see. I mean, I guess it depends. I haven't even looked at like any kind of injury reports.
Let me pull that up. I don't want to mislead anyone. So let me get the latest Kyler news right here.
If they play Kyler, I kind of like it. I'm feeling good on Kyler. I'm feeling good on Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride's obviously a must start. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people kind of chalk it out to be. I really couldn't tell. I'm kind of favoring the Packers in this one. But honestly, the Cardinals could surprise me this week. I'm not going to lie.
Kyler's still questionable. Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Just saw the update there. So he's still limited in practice. So he'll still have to log a full session.
Okay.
Has another day to do it. And then Marvin's still in concussion protocol, which hurts them in this one.
Yeah.
Jordan Love starter sit.
I don't know. I mean, at least for me, I'm not necessarily in a position where I have to start Love, but I don't think he's going to do that bad. I think you're going to see a lot out of him. I want to see a little bit more out of like Matthew Golden. I think at least for like the draft capital for people would have projected him to be and how well he did in preseason. I'm still kind of waiting on it for some games because he's there. Like you see it on his routes, but like I don't know.
This should be the tight end clash.
I want to,
Trey McBride. This game would be more fun if the refs at the beginning said that the only players you guys can pass to are tight ends.
That would be insane.
I think they should pick one game every week. That kind of feels like this. I feel like there are games this year that are just like they're just these tight end battles. You'll see what happens. I actually think the pass catchers are elevated without Kyler.
I mean, Kyler can't even see over his line, so like it's
We finally get an explosive Marvin Harrison play on a crosser, and he gets hurt. I just can't make it up. Okay, Commanders, Cowboys, NFC East clash. This should be a shootout as well, honestly. Commanders disappointing loss. as we talked about with the Bears. And Cowboys, disappointing loss, losing to Carolina. I mean, Dak is still just playing out of his mind. Like, just their record will probably need to improve, but kind of like just low. I think he could be an MVP candidate with the way he is playing. I mean, Dak or Drake May for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't looked at the odds. Like, I feel like I'm just joking about this, but they probably could be the two favorites with what's going on with Josh Allen and Lamar being out. Oh no, I guess Mahomes. You can't forget him. All right, we should get CeeDee Lamb back though, so I think that kind of changes things here. We'll see what happens with Pickens. I know you're a Pickens believer, so I'm sure you don't think that he would regress in this one. I think we're getting Terry McLaurin back as well, so good divisional matchup here. Each getting their star receivers back. How are we feeling?
I think this is gonna be a fun game. I think you're gonna see a bit of a shootout. I'm not gonna lie. I think you're gonna see a lot of touchdowns, a lot of big plays by people come back in. Really interested to see how Terry's going to size up in this, especially with how much of the share Debo has demanded in his new offense. But we'll see. I mean, I want to see CeeDee back in there. I'm really interested. I know he was a limited participant today, so at least for tomorrow, if he can fully integrate himself and get on the board for this weekend, I think it's going to be fun. I don't really like looking at this lineup. I don't think there's anyone I wouldn't feel comfortable like immediately starting. Like everyone from QBs down to tight ends. Like I think you've got great options. Yeah. It's crazy. I want to see massive points from both sides.
Yeah. I think we'll get, I mean, these matchups are always fun. It's just, again, like the divisional matchups can so easily just randomly become these defensive games because the teams know each other so well, especially for Dan Quinn. I think this would be a great game. It'd be a great game. Falcons at 49ers. Falcons are legit. A huge win over the Bills. I mean, you're probably pretty happy if you have Falcons players. I mean, both Drake London and Bijan gave you some massive Monday night victories, most likely. And this defense is really good for the Falcons, which is a bit not a shock. I think we actually talked about how we liked what they did in the draft, adding to that defensive line. But I didn't expect them to be able to completely limit a Bills offense led by Josh Allen. And then on the opposite side, just the 49ers are just still banged up. Seems like Purdy will miss again. Not that he can't play. It just the reports are saying they're just going to be very careful with Purdy. But George Kittle's back in practice. So, lots of kind of fun things to look out for in this one.
Yeah, we'll see. I think George Kittle is definitely going to be a culture carrier for this week. I think that if he can excel, I think that we're going to see a lot more success around the field, especially for this 49ers offense. Yeah, they're just banged up. It's really tough to watch. But I can also see, a situation where the Falcons kind of just break away. I think that Bijan's played so insane. There's no reason.
Fred Warner's out for the year.
Yeah, Fred Warner's out. That awful injury. Like I literally sat on TikTok last night for like an hour watching Fred Warner highlights and just like that injury with Greenlaw in the Super Bowl and like
that was sad.
I know. Yeah, I was in my bag for no reason for a team I have no attachment to, but. Honestly, yeah, the emotions go out when you see players like that go down. It's an unexplainable thing. But I think you're going to see a lot of like your big players that are like your must starts. Like you're always starting McCaffrey, you're always starting Bijan, Drake London, insane breakout, or I wouldn't even say breakout game, just an insane game last week, ridiculous. He honestly could have won some leagues. Or I should say some weeks for your fantasy matchup. Like I never would have expected out of nowhere. But yeah, like just your main players, your go-to starters. I'm interested. Is Ricky Pearsall still questionable? Did they sign?
I think he's expected to miss this week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, you could have another Kendrick Bourne game here. Juwan Jennings, he's playing through 5 broken ribs. So I'm not expecting much from him. But like, props to him, man. But But I really do think like once, I don't know. I'm like, not that I like Ricky Pearsall and I liked him a lot as a prospect. I I think people are just still kind of like way too high on him for how often he's missed. Isaac gunshot aside, like he can't control that at all. But just he might have this prototype of a player who misses a lot of time. And then we have Ayuk coming back very soon, Kittle back, McCaffrey, like some of these role players and Kendrick Bourne or Juwan Jennings when healthy are still going to play a role here. So I just don't think the ceiling is as high for Pearsall as people think. Now, had he been playing now while everyone else is missing time, would have been a huge like league winner type player filling in for you during that stretch. But with everyone healthy, which probably won't happen because it's the Niners, but if this offense can just get back to normal, I don't know that he's necessarily like the every week wide receiver to like high end flex that people may think he is. I've been saying this, I think Ayuk's going to come back and remind people who he is. Like I really do.
He is insane though. Like excited for him to come back. I really am. I just want to see a full Niners team. That's all I want to see because the output that they could have is, it's unfortunate for all the Niners fans out there. My heart goes out to you.
Do you have any belief in the theory that it's Christian McCaffrey kind of like voodooing and like siphoning the health of the other players on the team to stay healthy? It seems like he was out of offensive players, so he had to steal some ankle health from Fred Warner. Any validity to these rumors?
That might just be such a schizophrenic take that it makes sense. Like it almost seems like he went to like a median and just mustered up this insane scheme to just pull all the life force from all of his players.
It might be genetic. There's a lot of injuries on the Commanders, but Luke McCaffrey seems to be healthy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He played great last game too.
All right. Yeah, we don't endorse conspiracy theories here.
No, not by any means. But yeah, hoping to see a good game.
Well, it would just be interesting if McCaffrey were to get hurt and just like that's the week everyone's like healthy. It's just, which is how it would line up anyway. Yeah. But it would just be like the most ridiculous narrative. All right, this is I think other than the two shootouts we talked about, this is probably the true shootout of the week: the Buccaneers Lions. Baker's playing with like nobody on offense, and he's still getting it done. Definitely in the MVP conversation. And this Tampa, the run defense is pretty good, but their secondary has been playing terribly. So all the like Lions pass catchers should have pretty big games here, and I'll include Gibbs in that, catching it out of the backfield. I mean, this is gonna be a knock on wood, but should be a high scoring game here where you're happy with everybody. Wow, we have 3 weeks of 3 games in this week that we think are going to please everybody. What could go wrong?
Everything could go wrong. It could be awful. No, but oh my God, I'm excited though. This is gonna be fun. Tough to see. I think Emeka's out this week. So
seems like he avoided something serious though. So
yes,
there's some optimism there. But yeah, hamstrings aren't good.
No, not by any means. But excited to see Mike Evans come back in and hopefully take, I would hope, a good chunk of that target share that Emeka really had. So for me, I'm pretty high on it. I think he's a must start, at least for this week, or a must flex. Super excited for him. Super excited for Baker. He's out of his mind. Like I don't even know how he's piecing it together. Also another TikTok rabbit hole that I have been down way too many times of, I forget. I think it's Colin Cowherd consistently saying that Baker needs to pack it up, retire, never come back, and then Baker's just that guy. It's so electric, and I'm only rooting for him. But no, it's gonna be a fun week. Like you were saying, JMO, he's a great start for me. Amon-Ra every single week without a doubt. Interested to see how Rachaad White kind of sizes up for this week. I think
he'll have another good game. Yeah, I'm starting him for sure.
Okay, yeah, I think he's got a lot to prove, and I'm excited. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, a fun one for sure. And then we got 2 Monday night games this week, so you'll get to watch your Bucks Lions as well as Texans Seahawks. Texans coming off of a bye. I would love to say because they had such a big game against the Ravens before their bye week. And I just think we're kind of going to get the opposite. I think the Seahawks defensive line is going to just destroy. I know they had an extra week of rest and they had extra week to game prep. I just think the Seahawks defense just absolutely takes over this game.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Me personally, I kind of think this will be a little bit closer than we might think. I think JSN has been like through the roof, but I think we're going to see a good matchup with him and Derek Stingley Jr. I'm excited to see how that kind of plays out with how well JSN's been doing this season. But JSN without a doubt, like a must start for me. Nico Collins is a must start. I think without a doubt, I think he's going to have a great game.
I think the secondary is beatable for Seattle for sure.
Yeah, and I think Darnold's only going to further prove how he's just kind of insane for what I would have considered to be a mediocre Seattle offense coming into the season.
Yeah, I think of these, I think you're going to have the Bucs Lions, which pleases everybody, and then you're going to have this one, which just I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty heavily defensive game overall. And this one might disappoint a lot of people because in those defensive games, it just comes down to who can get a touchdown. Like if Nico scores, you're probably happy with him. I mean, you're not benching him. I'm not advising you to bench him. But I could see him struggling because if this line just keeps getting torched like it has been in pretty much every game except the Ravens game, CJ just has no time to find Nico Collins down the field. And I don't know. This could the backfield still worth monitoring. This might the Seahawks are pretty bad against pass catching running backs. So I would hope they would get Woody Marks more involved, but that situation just seems kind of unpredictable based on the usage we saw in the Ravens game. So I thought we had a Woody Marks takeover. Now it's kind of back to being fully split, and I could see a Woody Marks takeover again in this one based on the game script, but it's impossible to predict. We need another week of data.
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing. I don't really even know where to put it together between Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. I was super sold on Woody Marks. I thought this was going to be his year. He's just going to come in and dominate for a robotic Nick Chubb, but we'll see.
We'll see. And we'll revisit it next week. That's the end of our matchups. So appreciate everyone joining us for another one. You got start sit questions. Just want to talk ball. Definitely leave a comment below. And we'll see you next week. Good luck in all of your